From Yukon, Oklahoma, home of the Pride of Yukon Marching Band. Welcome to the Band Dads Podcast. I love band! Woo, band, woo!
Hello, everyone. I'm Chris Flynn, and I'm here with
Scott Lang.
And we are the Band Dads. Here to bring you a podcast about something that we care very dearly about, which is music education and band.
Some of you are here because you want to learn about all things band. Some of you are here because you want to see a train wreck, and the answer is yes to both of those. We don't care why you're here. We're going to answer all the questions. We're going to say the things you're thinking. We're going to debunk all the myths.
Yep. This is the Band Dads Podcast.
The podcast by and for confused band parents.
Oh, is that the tagline?
When I get nostalgic, I watch a kid put together 10 years of marching band YouTube videos. And when I get nostalgic, I watch it. And when I hear things too often that I don't like, my ears of 56-year-old Scott don't like about the 32-year-old
things happening in the performance?
Yeah. And I like to go, well, we didn't have as good a mics back then. That was just, it must be the recording equipment.
Gotcha.
It can't possibly be my teaching that had those trumpets play with that tone. It's the mics were too close and they weren't omnidirectional.
I see. You know what? So I try and help you sometimes and maybe give you things that are of current age. So like whether it be music artists or whatever. So Lei-Fei. So what you
still don't know
what you just did was you consumed some copium. You ever heard that used before? Copium?
No, because I'm chopped.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, chopped people can consume copium too.
What's copium?
Copium is just like, it's kind of a funny way to put like a name to coping. You're coping right now. Your coping mechanism is to justify that these microphones weren't well or whatever it may be. Copium is like a way to make it sound like a consumable, like you're consuming copium.
Okay, that's a word I can use.
There you go.
Copium.
So like if you hear somebody talking to themselves to justify something that they're basically making excuses for to justify it, they're consuming copium.
So when we go back and listen to the original broadcast 5 years from now of the Band Dad Podcast.
Oh, there's going to be so much copium. It's going to be crazy. Absolutely. So Episode 8, Scott Lang. We are here with episode 8. To start the episode, because sometimes we do goofy things, I actually want to be sincere to start the episode, and I really want to give a shout out to the Mighty Muskie Marching Band. We haven't had a chance to thank them in an episode yet, but that introduction that they did for us to recognize their community, which has been incredibly supportive to the Band Dads Podcast. Again, just a shout out to that awesome marching band.
That may have been the best part of that episode.
Yeah,
we weren't involved in it.
Episode 6 is my favorite episode. That wasn't necessarily why, but
episode 7 was mine.
Was the icing on the cake. So again, shout out to that group and that community for just being awesome to our podcast.
Their director, Jeff Hyde. Yeah, yes, absolutely.
Yes, Jeff is an awesome dude. And again, we invite people. We have some more coming. That's the good news, is we've talked to some other people who are involved in different schools across the country. We have some more of those introductions coming, which we're very, very, very excited for. There may even be a new school that intro this episode, as a matter of fact. But anyway, if you're interested in doing that, please let us know. Feedback at banddadspodcast.com. We'd love to connect with you. We'd love to work your schools into our introduction and have them do that greeting for us, because to me, it's very sincere. It's an easy way to give back and just give recognition to all the fantastic communities and all the hard work that's going on out there in Bandland, as they would say. So episode 8, though, this is it. Are we done? We're done? This is the last one? We said 8?
We've made that clear. We're having too much fun, and apparently we're not the only ones. So again, if you haven't listened to episode 7, we are committed to season 2, which we now believe is going to be a 10-part series stretching from band camp all the way to Christmas, where we'll then maybe commit to season 3, believe it or not. But we've got some incredibly fun stuff planned for it. But we're going to save that for episode 9, in which we tease some of the special things we're doing in season 2. But for now, he's
Chris Flynn.
And I'm Scott Lang, and we're the
Band Dads.
So, Chris.
Yep. Scott.
What if I told you something? Would you be surprised if I said music is the most useless curriculum in the school system today?
It would seem to be not productive for the podcast that we're recording right now.
That's for sure.
I was trying to think of a nice way to say it.
No, go ahead and say music is without question the most useless curriculum in the school system today.
So why are we here? What's the
that's
point?
a good question.
Why are we
Let's
here?
just end it now.
What's the point?
Okay, here's my point.
Yes.
Okay. You go to a math class and you learn math, correct?
Yes.
Do you use that math after math class?
Some of it.
Okay.
That's being generous.
Well-
Let's be honest.
Well, some of us use more math than
My kids
others.
are like in pre-calc, and I'm like,
No, and
never going to use that.
I don't know why we needed to involve the alphabet in math. Okay, your kids go to English class, correct?
Yes.
Do they use English outside that class?
Again, seems questionable sometimes. I don't know
heard them
half of what
talk.
they say, but yes, I believe that's valuable to them. Yes.
Well, maybe you're just copium with that.
The copium with that. All right, you're getting there. You got to. Just like you didn't know Riz was an adverb, we'll work you into it a little bit, but good try.
Tragically outdated.
You're
Okay,
trying.
Your kids, did any of them take a PE class or a foreign language class?
Yes.
And did they ever use those physical sports skills or any part of that language outside of class?
Again, I don't know, 50-50? Are you
but
trying to get me to buy
using it
into that?
But they're using it, right?
Okay.
Okay. When
don't
is
think
your
this is going how
daughter?
you wanted
When
it
is your daughter, who's a leader and in the jazz band and is in more band classes? When is she going to march pages 57 through 94 ever again? That ended November 14th.
I see what you're saying.
When is she ever going to play Holding Out for a Hero or Pinball Wizard again after November 14th?
If she does, it'll be in like a weird dark corner where she's reminiscing about her high school days.
Never.
Coffee shop somewhere.
You know, I don't remember when I marched when I was in high school.
No?
I have no idea. No, I can't remember a single thing. I don't remember any of the music I played except for one piece, and it's called The Horse, and it's really quite bad. And old directors will know what it is. That the curriculum, what we teach the kids, you know, and a kid's not gonna, when they're 32, go, I've got to go get Pampers and mark and march down
Okay, so
Safeway.
not in that way.
And
not in that way. You're right.
They're not going to go dress, baby, dress. Band, baby, front. Like, that'd be child abuse, wouldn't it?
I don't know what you just did. I don't understand what just
When they
happened.
do dress, center dress.
I don't know what's going on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Speaking of tragically out of touch.
Okay. I'm the one. Yeah.
Are they ever, we talked about the last episode, are they ever going to wear their Vipers again? God, I hope
Probably not.
Not if they want to have friends.
Probably not.
The point is the curriculum of music
Yeah.
in and of itself is absolutely useless after November 15th.
Just to play devil's advocate, is the way that you just presented it, is that really still the way that it is now? Because technology is different. So their recordings of their performances still exist somewhere in the digital atmosphere.
They can enjoy the recording of it, but they don't use the skill.
Okay.
That's like saying, well, I learned I learned some math concepts, so I really enjoyed the Russell Crowe movie, The Beautiful Mind. Well, no, that's not using the math skills.
Okay.
That's enjoying the math skills. You know, you can say, I enjoy fashion, but you don't wear what you wore in high school.
I guess I more mean that if you don't have a way to replay it, recollect it, re-engage in it, it falls out of your head. I guess what I'm saying is I wonder if there's an opportunity for it to be a little bit different because they do have the ability to
You're
revisit
talking
it.
about nostalgia. I'm talking about the skill set.
No, I know what I'm saying is that nostalgia may lead to like the spark of something that says, hey, I remember when we did that. And anyway, it's probably a stretch. I'm just
Pages 47 through 54. Will she ever march it again?
no.
The music of Press Start. Will she ever play it again?
I don't believe she will. No.
No. It's useless curriculum.
Yeah. Okay.
Now,
Okay.
that doesn't mean it's a useless activity.
Okay.
But I want to talk about the fact that for parents, we're treating this like this is the last episode you're going to hear of the year. It's going to be mid-May by the time you actually get this, and you're probably already in nostalgia mode.
Okay, that's fair.
I know I am, but you're also looking forward to next year. So you've got one foot in the grave and one foot out the door. Make sense?
Yes.
So I want to revisit this year in nostalgia mode
Okay.
as a parent.
Okay.
I don't want to revisit as a kid.
Are we gonna close the loop so people don't actually feel like what their kid did all year was useless? Are we gonna tie that up somehow?
Well, you would hope so, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I would.
I've got about 32 minutes to figure out how.
I'm a little concerned right now. Yes, I'm a little concerned right now. Anyway.
When Chris is concerned, I'm feeling good about myself.
Oh boy.
Okay, so let's go back to band camp. You're gonna make some sort of sound effect here that means we're time traveling backwards. To band camp.
I can do that.
Okay,
Sure.
so,
I'll
all
give
right,
you some fun there.
And here's my point: the value proposition I'm going to build for band is outside the curricula.
Okay.
Okay, but I want to start with the factor that the curricula is merely a vehicle to the real learning lessons. Now, understanding
That makes sense.
that's not the case in English. That's not the case in math.
Sure, curricula is what's important in the
That's
subject.
correct.
Okay.
The way I like to phrase it is the curricula is the pickup truck, but the payload it's carrying is building better kids.
I see.
And the payload's what's important, not the vehicle we use. But in school, it's the vehicle, the
Right.
actual learning that we treat, with such importance. That's not the case in marching band. So let's flash back. You can make that sound.
Okay.
Calendar
You
flash.
want the flashback sound.
Go back
All
to
right.
band camp.
Insert flashback sound here.
Okay. If you learn a concept in math and you master it, you nail it, you've shown mastery, you've demonstrated fluency, you don't go back and revisit that concept. Fair point, right?
No.
Okay. When you've learned a skill set, be it physical, emotional, cognitive, or mental, and you've demonstrated that you have that self-awareness to regulate or to recognize and pivot, you don't revisit that skill set, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Your daughter, this was her second year in marching band, correct?
Correct.
Did she learn basics again?
Yes, I assume
Why?
so.
Hasn't she already shown mastery? Did she learn a horn up again? Did she learn long tones again?
I would assume yes.
Yeah, because it's literally the only curricula I know of in which we treat every child like they're a brand new member beginning again every year.
Okay.
English 1, when you graduate, you go to English 2.
Yeah.
Science 1, when you graduate, you go to biology, and so on and so forth. So Spanish 1, you go to Spanish 2. In band, you go back to the basics.
Okay, so you're, and again, maybe give a little bit of context as to why. Only because again, band parents are not in band camp with their kids, right? Generally,
that's a good point.
Generally, they're just seeing let's say our school does a parent night barbecue where they come out and they see a rehearsal of the first stage of the show, right? That's really probably the first time that they see anything that is a result of the outcome of the week or 10 days or whatever it is they spent at band camp, and then throughout the season, same thing. They basically see when the kids come out on the field what they're producing at that point, unless they're working behind the scenes in the pit, whatever. So help us understand then why, if we're saying the word useless, that's not a good way to sell people on this activity.
The
So
curricula is useless. I didn't say the activity.
Help.
Sure, it does, because if you're a parent, that's the point I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get the parents to break away from the concept of band as a curricula. Band is not a curricula. Band is a culture. And we talked about that, if you remember. Common set of accepted practices, values, and beliefs by a given group of people in the time and place.
And I will insert the gong noise.
Because it was my number 9.
So I'll insert
So
that.
the reason we do that, and I think it's important, it's number 1 is because we're breaking everything down. You're breaking it down. In other words, whatever you came into this activity with, whatever knowledge, whatever skill set, whether you march drum corps, whether you're an all-state player, whether you're physically gifted, an upperclassman, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Because we all start together from the beginning, because it's the only activity in which all of us score equally.
Okay.
Okay. But the second thing that we're doing when we're doing that is I want you to use your daughter as an example.
Sure.
So your daughter put in for and got selected as?
She is section leader.
That's correct.
For in her junior year coming up, yes.
So are basics going to look different when she has to teach it?
Oh, yes, for sure.
And are basics going to look different when she's a soloist?
Yes, for
And
sure.
So that's the cool part of this activity. And I believe it's what keeps bringing kids back, is that you're going to learn. They say to teach something in the teaching profession, they say to teach something is to learn twice.
Yeah.
You learn it first, and then when you teach it, you learn it a second time.
Yeah.
That your daughter, and I think your daughter's a perfect person to utilize for this. Your daughter started as a freshman, knew nothing.
Yes.
And then she knew something. And then she developed mastery. And then she started private lessons. And then, where, by the way, she learned the same concepts that she learned in her band class from a different person.
Okay.
Where then she's going to be tasked with maybe being in a jazz band and learning the idiom in a different way. It's still same B flat, still same. Then she's going to be tasked with being not a rookie. And then next year she's going to be tasked with teaching younger people. That while the concept is the same, the learning for each member escalates every single year.
Okay.
And so
that makes sense.
You come back to it because you're learning again. So the reason we do band camp the way we do is, number 1, everyone's valued the same.
Yeah.
If you're a freshman marcher, your point score is the same as a senior marcher, and all-stater the same as a beginner, a soloist the same as a non-soloist.
Right.
Make sense?
Yeah.
So in order to get them to understand that, you have to start with everyone at the same level.
Okay.
And so everyone starts at the very fundamentals.
So not to be mean, but is it the old lowest common denominator idiom? Is it we have to be there because we got to start it? Like we know there are kids who can't do any better than this, so we have to at least start here.
No, it's role modeling. Because you never say to the seniors, hey guys, look at the freshmen, let's march like that. You look at the seniors and the freshmen say, hey, freshmen, look at the seniors and march like that. Hey, followers, look at the leaders and run like that. Hey, beginners, look at the all-state players and make them sound like that. That's to me like the most fundamentally life-altering thing about this activity is that we take the lowest common denominator and hold them accountable to the highest common denominator standards.
Okay.
I don't know of any other activity that does that. Now, again, we've talked, I love sports, but if you're lowest common denominator, you don't start or you're cut. You're not even on the team.
That's fair.
We take everybody, and then we take the highest common denominator and say, everyone, that is the standard, but we're all going to start at the lowest common denominator.
Okay.
So when you think about band camp, I want you to think about this now. You're thinking about it from the perspective of an activity, but I want to, as we said we're going to do, I want you to go back as a parent.
Okay.
What has your daughter learned differently in those camps? And what do you think she's going to experience differently as a junior and a section leader with the exact same fundamentals, the same warm-ups, the same techniques? Do you think she's learning something different?
I guess at the end of the day, probably not.
Really?
I guess to your point, maybe you're just convincing me in what you're telling me right now.
Will she learn empathy by working with somebody who's not talented? So will she learn patience by working with somebody who's not skilled?
Sorry, again, so you've got me hung up on the curriculum part. I guess that's where you've got me hung up. Right.
And if I failed parents, I fail. That was my point in pointing out at the beginning. Is I want you to disassociate from the curriculum because that's not the important part of band.
Sorry,
it is for English. It is for math. It is for science.
Okay.
I want you to disassociate yourself from the curriculum.
Okay, you've now clarified what you've asking of me. So maybe again, and if I missed it, that's my bad. Now I understand better what you're asking of me. So yes. Well, in short, I would say it starts with. To your point, it starts with the peers in her section themselves, right? Because these are the people that she's got to be around, work with every day to come up with some sort of cooperative outcome. But it is different people every year. And those different people have very different personalities, right? So trying to learn how to navigate, and I think that was a challenge last year was the first year, she was so kind of, I guess, locked into this group of people, and she was the freshman. So to your point, maybe it was just a matter of her looking up to those upperclassmen who were setting a standard, right? Now as a sophomore, not that she's an upperclassman, but she's been through a whole year of the process. She basically has an expectation, right?
She's been through 2 years of it.
Well, sorry, what I mean is beginning her second year. So beginning sophomore year this year. She had 1 year under her belt that she went through the process, went through the experience with a particular group of people that set an expectation, right? So now when she started year two, this past band camp last summer, she's got different people, different personalities now incoming. She's got an expectation. These people don't necessarily have that expectation. They don't meet it yet. So now it's the navigation of, do I look down on this, or like, do I help them raise? Like, how do I now navigate this relationship with these people? Because I have to count on them in the same way they have to count on me. So it's kind of, I think it's conflict almost of how does she handle being mature enough to try and work through that relationship at the same time, not be frustrated by the fact that I know this now. This is where we're supposed to be, but you guys aren't here. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And so the next year, add to that, she's now not going to be navigating it. She's going to be responsible for it.
Correct.
And so it's the same left foot. It's the same horns up.
Yeah.
It's the same B flat, but she's learned 3 different lessons from that activity.
Yeah.
And so when, parents, as we kind of take a nostalgic look backward, I want you to look at this activity now through the lens that we're talking about. Disassociate it from the concerts, disassociate it from the playing and the marching and the curriculum. I want you to associate now the lessons learned as time passes. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it does.
So then going back, would you say that band camp was a very different experience, even though it was the same curricula, same lessons?
I would say absolutely. It was different, yes.
So let's forward on to the season, the actual marching season.
Okay.
Now, this is my first year, so I can't reflect back over 2 years.
Gotcha.
And you can.
Yes.
Now, 2 years ago, they were incredibly competitively successful. They were in a little bit of a different circuit. They went to Hawaii and traveled, and saw amazing things.
Right.
Now this year, they're in the open class, and it was the hottest summer on record, and it was just brutal.
Yeah.
Same activity, same competitions.
Yeah.
What were the different lessons learned? Not better or worse, but different than year one than year 2?
So again, I'll tell you my perspective, and I think new parents maybe can relate to this a little bit more, because I've talked about multiple times as well, how I didn't even really click into the activity myself until kind of late the first year, right? So meaning I wasn't really involved or that invested, I think, in the full journey her freshman year. I kind of caught on late, right? So I very much had, I think, stars in my eyes, really, a lot of the end of the freshman year, of just being enthralled by, wow, look at what these kids can do together.
Yeah.
Just on a very
amazing,
basic level.
It's just amazing.
Just a very basic level. Yeah, to the point. Yeah, I mean, literally to the point where, there are moments in the show where like it almost is emotional, right? Because
absolutely it is.
Especially if you spend a lot of time around those kids and you get to know them, like you're just proud of them.
When I saw them on the fields at Bands of America, I teared up.
So one of the biggest differences, to your point, this past year was we changed circuits, like you said. So rather than participate in the 2 circuits in Arizona, we only did 1, and then we had this big trip her freshman year where we went to Hawaii to participate in the the Pearl Harbor Memorial Parade, right? So that in itself, here's what I would say. The Hawaii trip was really, really cool just from a cultural learning perspective, right? New place, new culture.
Most of those kids had never traveled there before.
I had never traveled there before. That was the first time I had ever been. It's
life-changing.
Absolutely.
And the Alamo Dome, while somewhat not impressive, is not quite as life-changing as the beaches of Waikiki.
So to your point, now my lens, maybe just like my daughter's lens, was different going into her second year, meaning that rather than just the basic, like, wow, look at what they can do. It's not that went away, but now I'm aware of what they can do. So now it's almost like I want to see more of what they can do, if that makes any sense, right? So yes, so the first year felt a little more casual, but yes, competitively our results were pretty good. Though I will say, we stuck with one particular circuit this year, and our results were probably about the same, to be honest. Like the results that we had this year were very similar.
In the second circuit, they were the same as the second circuit last year. But in the primary circuit, your results were much higher than the secondary circuit. Yeah.
So basically, to your point, so if I'm just comparing kind of apples to apples in terms of how they were competitive last year, it was about the same. The results were about the same.
So my question to you as a parent, at the end of the season, did you feel the same about the year?
Okay. So this is going to develop. So you mentioned San Antonio. Here's what I'll say. San Antonio was not Hawaii. You're right. Though San Antonio is a beautiful city, by the way. I actually appreciate San Antonio very much because, again, being from the East Coast, being from Boston, and I lived outside of Philadelphia for a long time.
And Mexican food is the bomb diggity in San Antonio.
I'm more, we have plenty of Mexican food in Arizona, but it's more of the, I appreciate that San Antonio has a lot of historical culture itself, and it keeps its old buildings and its architecture, and anyway, so it was nostalgic for me in that way, and I think it stuck out for my kids who were West Coast kids who just see everything in Arizona is new and beige, and you know what I mean? Like there's no character to it whatsoever, right? So I think San Antonio as a city was cool in that way because it does have a lot of character. I do think the actual experience, though, of participating in this Bands of America super regional event was way more valuable to the activity and the learning than going to do a parade in Hawaii.
But did it feel the same? Performing at the Pearl Day Harbor Parade is coming in 61st in San Antonio.
So, to me, you're trying to accomplish two different things. So no, it did not feel the same because one is pageantry. It's patriotism and pageantry, right? And the other thing is, how are we showing our kids what they can do at a competitive level? So I guess it's two different things for me. The parade's more fun because there's no pressure to it.
Here's my point in asking that, is that you as a parent, no one sat you down in August and said, okay, our objective outcomes for this year are to be competitively at X, Y, and Z, to be culturally at this, and to as a student at leadership in X, Y, and Z. You went back to band this second year with the same mindset of year one, but it was going to be a very, very different experience by design, not by accident.
Yeah.
Our director chose, it's time for us to go play with the big dogs.
Correct.
It's time for us to go see what a 350-piece band can do in Texas.
Absolutely. So
the parent who is expecting state championship travel to Hawaii and then
that's fair,
gets year two. And that was by design. We've climbed this mountain, it's time to find a tougher mountain. Had a very different experience. Marching the same 8 to 5. Practicing the same rehearsal schedule. And here's the thing I think is really interesting is that year two that was, in some ways, because of weather, incredibly difficult. In some ways, competing against the finest bands in the world competitively,
Right.
was my son's year one. That's all he knows. Is 62nd of 62nd
really
place,
right?
And
okay
I
with the
only
events
know
that are
when
unfolding
it's 118 because I've never experienced 105.
Sure.
Sure.
I only know coming in X place. I've never won anything.
Yeah.
And so his baseline experience is radically different than your daughter's
There's no
baseline
question.
experience.
Absolutely.
And so for every parent, they not only don't understand year two is not going to be like year one, and year three is not going to be like year two, and year four, by design, not by accident.
Right.
Band directors are incredibly meticulous about planning that.
Sure.
But that your happy dream or fond, warm, fuzzy memory is someone else's cold, prickly, long, hot summer.
Well, I would say to your point, even maybe people. So luckily, I guess the difference for me is I'm a little more understanding, right? Or like, again, we've talked about multiple times how it didn't take me long to get on board with the fact that, I'm on board with the band director and what his decision is and what he wants from my program. I'm one of those people. I know not everybody is that way, right? So even people who have the same experience my daughter did or my family did in those first 2 years probably sees things very differently than I
would think 95% of band parents don't see things the way you do because 95% of band parents aren't as engaged, involved, and educated on the activity that they would start their own podcast called the Band Dad Podcast.
Okay, fair enough.
So I think what I'm trying to get at is when we're looking retrospectively at the year as parents and as the band dads, that band camp, while repetitious in nature, is a very different experience each and every year, which is why kids come back.
Sure.
They're learning something new through the same activities, and that we are holding the very lowest achievers, not people, achievers to the highest of standards.
Right.
And the only way to do that is to take the highest down to the lowest and lift them with them.
Sure.
Then when you wander into, the season that you think because you're playing the same football teams, you're going to the same competitions, that the lessons learned are going to be very different, sometimes better, sometimes not less better, tougher.
Gotcha.
Harder lessons to learn. It's hard to come in 61st.
Yeah.
That ain't easy.
Yeah.
And, but that was by design to catapult the program to an even another level next year, which your daughter will go, oh my God, I'm a leader. I'm in charge. Look at all these new lessons. My son's going to go from this is overwhelming to I got this. And that's going to be someone's baseline for the next 4 years.
That's true. That's a good point.
That's what I think makes marching band so special is you learn new lessons by doing the same things each and every year. And they're not lessons that we associate with the curricula or the outcomes that are judged or adjudicated. Make sense?
Yeah, no, it does. And this is something that, again, that we did talk about earlier in the season as well, which I've heard the kids say the same thing, and I had a chance at the end of my daughter's freshman year to interview some upperclassmen kids for this promo video that we did. And again, just not to be too repetitive to a previous episode, but none of them talk about the results. None of them talk about the scores. They really don't. And again, we're talking about kids who have won championships. So that outgoing senior class this year, just right now, an incredibly accomplished group who did win a state championship. And I guaranteed they've had incredibly different experiences every year. But when I have a chance to talk to them, they don't talk about that stuff. They talk about the overall experience and the relationships that they've built and just the experience that they've had overall versus any actual measurable.
Totally agree with you. The kids have figured it out. Now, not hearkening back to our previous episode about band parents, but think about the freshman band parent who has no reference. And they assume it's all about marching, all about winning, all about left foot, all about horns up, all about notes.
Yeah.
The sophomore band parent, their only frame of reference is last year. They've had one experience.
Right.
And I don't think until your kid hits their third year that the parent, not the kids, because the director's in the classroom every day going, kids, it's about effort. It's about grit. It's about building a teamwork. But nobody's gathering the parents around going, hey, parents, it's about grit. It's about teamwork. It's about effort. It's about.
Right.
So it's not till your junior year that the parents have that aha moment of, oh, it's not about marching or band. It's about everything else.
Gotcha.
So we now end our competitive season. And I think because of those learnings, parents view competitions a little bit differently each and every year.
Sure.
All the way to your senior year when this is my daughter's last competition. This is their last show. It's their last time in uniform. Yeah, I know. Oh, believe me, I know. And I always had to remind my seniors, your last is somebody's first every year.
That's fair.
And when they would say like, you can't change that, we're seniors. And I'd say, someone's always a senior, sweetheart. Get over it.
That's a fair point.
So you end up, you're done with the first semester, and largely it's a period of recovery and let's see if we can duct tape a holiday concert back together.
Gotcha.
In 2.5 or 3 weeks.
Sure.
So you end the first semester.
Okay.
And I think the average parent would say, okay, marching band's over. It's
concert season?
Correct.
Okay.
And it's going to be much
calmer, easier, less stress.
Yeah.
Most
people don't realize the second semester's far busier than the first semester.
Okay.
But it's spread, instead of consolidated across one ensemble, there's all region, all state, all jazz, area concert band festival, area jazz band festival, state concert band festival, state jazz band festival, auditions for all region, auditions for all state, the actual all region, 16 of 18 weekends. And that's not including indoor drumline and indoor percussion.
Right.
16 of 18 weekends.
Don't forget our guard friends. They don't get enough.
Winter guard. I apologize. You're 100%. And by the way, if I can just say, I'm a drummer.
Yeah.
I get winter guard more than I get winter drumline.
Oh.
I think winter guard.
Like artistically?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because
I could see that actually.
Here's my problem. And I'm a drummer.
I could see that actually.
Drums were never made to be played indoors.
Yeah,
you don't get the clarity, the articulation, the balance. I respect the art form.
Right.
But what I hear is
gotcha.
And when I see a really good winter guard with a really good sound system,
yeah, absolutely,
it's emotional.
Yeah. I'll say this again, and folks, again, this is one of those, if you don't have a kid in color guard, but your school's involved in color guard, again, go to one of the events, go to one of the competitions, just so you can understand and take it in a little bit. Because I think the cool thing about color guard is, to your point, I think it's because it's more fluid. It's almost easier to digest, I guess, as an art form to some extent.
Yes.
And you know what I mean? Like
way easier to digest.
Yeah. So the point where you can look at it and kind of like you would look at any art and go, oh, this is the one I'm taking from it. This is my interpretation, like all those things. So it is a little more interactive.
It's, and the thing is, color guard is by and large a visual activity, and indoor drumline is by and large an auditory activity.
Right.
And parents are much better trained to watch something than they are to hear something.
Yeah.
But if I can just drop in, and I'm just going to do it, because whenever I talk about winter guard, I have to say it. If you've not seen Pride of Cincinnati, Both Sides Now,
okay,
it's the prettiest thing I've ever seen put on a stage ever in my life. I've probably watched it 500 times, and I cry at the end of it every time.
Pride of Cincinnati.
Both Sides Now. Joni Mitchell's Both Sides Now. I think it was 1999.
Okay.
Everyone pause the Bandad podcast and watch that and come back, and you'll have a greater appreciation.
I've never seen it myself, so I'm going to...
So we're back to second semester.
So I just want to say, though, I think that's a fair point. And again, and I hope that people really do take away, because again, I know sometimes this is why I pause you a little bit. And I in previous episodes, I have even done my own interruptions to the episodes to try and to slow things down a little bit. I want everybody to kind of pause on that point for a moment, because that does make a lot of sense. And it really is obvious, but for some reason, we just don't see it as parents, that for marching band, they're basically working with everybody together all at the same time, which we're not saying that that's an easy process by any means, but now take that same idea and break it back out times 12 of all those different individual things. And I don't know, that seems way more difficult to manage. So I don't think we give enough credit to the fact that, so that's a really good point.
Find another activity that places the same level of responsibility and value on a 13-year-old as an 18-year-old.
Yeah, no, agreed.
Now, you might have a 13-year-old playing freshman football, but they ain't playing varsity.
Yeah.
And if they are, they're place kicker holder.
Sure.
You may have a 13-year-old in the school play, but they don't have the lead.
Right.
Like you may have a 13-year-old on the academic decathlon team, but they're not the lead questioner. So that's the thing I think that makes marching band so unique, and what I was trying to explain was that we take the best players down to the most base levels, but then rise the bass players up to the most expert levels,
right,
and value them the same.
Right. But in terms of just like the director and their involvement and to your point, the level of stress and activity itself, in marching band, again, they have texts maybe that help, but again, the group comes together as one to accomplish this thing versus, again, when we're talking about all the different concert ensembles,
yes, correct,
competitions and all that, they're basically on their own, managing each group themselves to each individual standard.
That's why the parents don't think it's busier than the marching band semester, because they don't see all the various parts. If your
Right.
kid's not in jazz band, you don't know that jazz band had a gig
very
this
true.
weekend. If your kid's not in the top wind ensemble, you don't know that all region auditions are this
You
weekend.
guys don't follow us on social media, by the way. Jazz is the cool band. I'm just gonna.
My bands could play.
Jazz is the cool band.
I'm going to play your recording at the end of this.
Oh, I believe you.
Maybe it could be the outtake.
I believe you.
So the second semester, like, parents don't realize, but what's really important is you don't see the growth in your child, but that's when the real growth in your child happens, so that they're ready to take on the next fall.
Okay.
Like, that's when we're building the building blocks of how do you play, and how do you think, and how do you listen, and how do you appreciate this literature that's in front of you.
Sure.
So I think sometimes, parents would always, and they didn't mean it this way. They're like, oh, you must be so glad marching band's over. And I would think, yeah, so I can work more weekends than I do in the fall.
Gotcha.
So when you think about that, we've been through band camp now, and
Yep.
we understand that it's about taking the best, bringing them down to the lowest, and then raising everyone up together. We know that with each and every passing year, there's a different learning experience, and that's
sure.
what brings us back.
Yes.
We know that as we get into the season, the juniors and senior parents get it.
Yeah.
But the freshmen and the sophomore parents, freshmen don't get it at all. And sophomore parents are probably starting to get a light bulb that turns on.
Right. Sure.
It's not about winning. But let's talk about the director for a second.
Okay.
So imagine, when do you think our director started plotting next year's show?
Geez, to your point, I assume he's involved in all these different things. I don't know, maybe sometime after the first of the year, maybe third would be the beginning of second semester, I guess, maybe sometime around there.
He didn't commit to it, but he knew in San Antonio. On November 15th.
So
He knew
during
what
the
next year's
previous
shows-
season.
Yeah. All the programs right now. So we're talking about second semester, and we know I'm trying to disassociate the kid experience, right?
Yeah, yeah.
As the parent experience, they're learning the fundamentals. You just don't see it because they're not performing for you every Friday night.
Right.
But as the parent, what you don't understand is the machine is in motion for the following year. The budget is being set. The props are being secured and bought
Okay.
or designed. The show concept is being vetted back and forth, and it's usually a long, arduous process. The music is being picked. The first sketches of the music are already being sketched out.
Dang.
You've hired a drill writer.
Yeah.
There's a whole business part of this activity that's happening starting usually, and the really top flight programs usually have a twinkle in their eye August a year in advance.
Okay.
They're like, oh, I saw Cirque du Soleil and now I have an idea.
Interesting.
It's not vetted. It's not.
Okay.
But I will tell you, most of the really good bands, by the time they end the marching season, they're already in motion for next year. They're
Interesting.
already in flight. The color guard silks are already being designed, and they're already planning on, well, let's try this movement and this movement. Now, some of it may change and may fail, but outside of all the learnings that your children are having that you're not seeing, that are as important, if not more important than the marching band thing, that the machine is in motion for the next 14 months.
Okay.
Are being planned.
Do you think is it because do you think it's because they have to, or again, does a director really do they enjoy marching band that much? They have an activity that's always kind of on their mind, that they want to look ahead, they want to always be planning it, they want to kind of be involved in it to kind of keep that spark going, or is it just truly out of necessity?
It's necessity. The art form has become so sophisticated.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so unbelievable. I went to a show reveal, and I think I can tell you what it is because they revealed it. The drum corps revealed it Monday morning. I went to a drum corps show reveal this past Saturday night.
Okay.
And they came out, and this is April 15th.
Yeah.
They had completed silks, completed uniforms, designed to stitch. They modeled them that night. The brand new horde line had been secured, bought, paid for. The opener was learned. All 5 movements of music were arranged.
Yeah.
The drill was already in motion for the season, and it was April 26th.
Gotcha.
Like the idea, the machinations of this concept, which is London fog.
Okay.
Well, that's okay. What's a uniform look like? Well, it's got to represent fog. It should have pieces that come out. And what is the music? Well, you've got to play the Crown March from Victoria as well. Okay, if we're going to do that, how are we going to use a silk that represents London? I mean, and the way they storyboarded that,
Yeah.
you realize there are some brilliant minds in this world,
Okay.
and I'm not one of them.
That's what it took you to realize? It took you that show reveal to come up with that? Apparently you didn't listen to any of the other episodes that we recorded prior
Should
to
I have
April
realized
26th.
when I didn't know who Lei Fei was?
I mean, maybe.
Does
Again,
any of
we're
that surprise you?
So I don't know. Short answer is yes, but the more and more we talk about, again, marching and the activity and band itself, I almost become less surprised, just because, not that it's not impressive by any means, but the more that we understand about this activity and how deep it goes, I'm just like, yeah, of course they do. Like, yeah, you know what? I could see how, you know what I mean? That when the way you explain it and it comes together, like I said, it's almost like Captain Obvious telling me something I should already know, but we just don't pay attention to it. I don't know why we don't. I don't know why we don't see those things until somebody puts it right in front of our face to say, look, here it is. But I think that's also one of the reasons why the activity itself doesn't get enough attention, personally. And, you know, again, these drum corps, man, they put incredible products out on the field. But I would tell you that I feel like the attention and the audience that DCI is it's just way underrated. It doesn't get the audience it deserves, because they have to play.
I would agree. And I think DCI
is a community college.
DCI is incredible, and I want to talk about this in our summer band camp episode. Okay. But here's the difference between DCI and high school marching bands. DCI auditions and cuts.
Okay, that's fair.
And so you're talking starting with a much higher level product. The difference between the low and the high is a much smaller gap than the difference between an 8th grader and a senior in high school.
Right.
And so their learning gap. Now, I don't want to diminish their achievement at all.
Right.
I mean, those kids work so incredibly hard. They're rehearsing 12 hours a day.
Right.
But it is not, that is product based. Sure. And high school marching band is process based.
No, 100%. But I guess I think what I'm saying is that's why I'm almost surprised that, again, it's not more popular than it is, if that makes any sense. So yes, it's a better product. They cut people. Not only that, but instead of paying $1,000 band fee, they're paying a $6,000 fee, right, to participate in the event, right? So,
and worth every penny, if you ask me.
Absolutely fair. And again,
think about this. If I could take your kid on the road for 55 days and show him the country and give him, and by the way, food, clothing, supervision, facilities, air conditioning, buses, transportation, teach them, and then give them an audience of 6,000 people every night.
You want to do a money episode, DCI edition? You want to do that? We'll pick a core and we'll break down the cost. So
we see if our money episode for band gets more popular first.
It's doing fine. Don't listen to him. It's doing just fine. So again, where I'm going with is, we would say that DCI is basically the professional version of marching, would we not?
Yeah, they call it marching music's major leagues.
Okay.
But I would tell you the reason for being couldn't be more different.
Okay, we'll hold that for a minute, because the reason why I'm asking that or reiterating that point is, before my kid was in marching band, I've never heard of it.
Right, correct.
That's
That's
my point. So they put out this incredible product. These kids are incredibly talented. The skill level is so high, but yet again, people don't know about it.
Because it's incestuous. You know why the Philadelphia Phillies get 45,000 people at their baseball game? Because 45,000 kids played Little League Baseball.
I guess that's my point. I guess we're saying,
if you don't have that base audience to begin with, that it's like I said in the last episode, no one does 4 years of high school as a varsity football player and says, hey, I think I want to be a marching band director. No, it comes from within the activity. Yeah. And so since the group participation, not at the high school level, but if you look at the overall population, if you gathered 1,000 kids and said, how many of you played youth sports? Every hand would go up. Well, there's your audience.
You're absolutely right.
And if you said, how many of you were in a marching band, 10% of the hands would go up. Now 10% whittles down to how many follow it through in college, and then how many could join a drum corps, and then how many kids were in a drum. And so that funnel gets really, really small.
Yeah.
But again, I love drum corps, but the fundamental purpose of drum corps is to stretch the activity. The fundamental purpose of marching band is to stretch the child.
Sorry. We got a little off track there. You're right. No. Sorry. We got a little off track there. I guess I just wanted to bring some attention to the fact that, again, I do think that this product that this group puts out is incredible. What DCI does is fantastic, and just not enough people know about it. So we got a little sidetracked there. So we'll get back on track.
One of the things, so we hit the end. We talked about band camp. We talked about the fall semester. We talked about the transition to concert
season.
We talked about as we come to the end, like, to me, the end of the year there's two purposes: celebrate and recuperate.
Okay.
And I think we're really good at one and really bad at the other. And so
which one are we? Which one's the winner here?
we're really good at celebrating.
Okay.
I mean, I really think the band directors, there are band banquets and there's end of year awards and there's an end of year concert and there's the honoring of the seniors. And by the way, we should be good at celebrating those kids. They gave us 4 years of their life.
Oh, they sure did.
I mean, they're deserving. They don't get enough celebration, but we're really, really good at it.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, I think is worth talking about is that, and now to our listeners, there's an asterisk here. Chris and our kids are on year-round calendars. We get 5 weeks off.
Yeah, we are. That's a good point. That we were in one of those districts that, we end kind of late May and then we're back the middle of July.
And
so there's no
of,
summer.
No, and regardless, even if you're on a traditional calendar, unless you're way back east where they don't start till after Labor Day, the point is it's summer chop shop. And it's summer rehearsals and it's pre-band camp, which happens.
There is no break.
No,
it doesn't stop.
And I think that's the danger part of this activity is the recuperate.
That we need more of it.
Yes, I think we need more time. So, because in an athletic sense, if the physicalness of the activity increases, doesn't the need for the length of recuperation increase?
That's generally true. Yes.
This has turned into a year-round activity.
Yeah.
And to its credit, to its benefit, it's stretching the art form. It's giving kids a place to be. It's all those things. But, for my kid, he needed time away.
Okay.
In order to get excited. And I think it's worth sharing. Like, I'm a band director. Band is like my life. My wife is so excited about band. And I told you, band camp broke my kid.
Yeah.
It broke him. I mean, it was hard.
Yeah.
And so we took the path of, if you don't want to do a winter season, that's fine. It's your choice. And you get to choose your sophomore year. And Chris, I got to tell you, the night before auditions, he said he didn't know if he was going to do it.
That's fair.
And I was on pins and needles. But the one thing I decided was to not talk about it and give him a 3-month break from talking about band.
Sure.
And he texted me the morning of auditions and said, "Don't pick me up. I'm hanging with my friends. We have auditions tonight." And my wife and I cried.
Aww.
We cried because we're like, our kid got the band bug. But in order to get it, he needed space.
He had to find it himself.
Yeah. He had to find himself and he needed space.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing I think is we're great at celebrating. And I'm going to throw it to you, the parent.
Yeah.
And to you, the band director, not talking about Schmeil Schmenny, who works at Schmassa High School. They need a break.
Yeah.
They need time away to recharge and reignite that passion and miss it.
Okay.
Miss it.
Okay.
So as we kind of wind up our tour of the year, and I don't know that I've been as entertaining as maybe you'd like me to be, I think it's important just to give parents a holistic look of where the journey started, what they accomplished, even when they looked and sounded bad.
Yeah.
And then the actual outcome of the season was by design, and it's not meant to win every year.
Yeah.
And that the spring season is about planning for the future and building the physical and musical skills to actually execute. Because it's going to be harder next year, Chris. I got news for you.
Yeah.
But Miles is going to want more from the kids. The drill's going to be harder. The music's going to be harder. And that's where while the parents aren't seeing it, that's where those skill sets are being developed. And that's part of that indoor experience.
Okay.
Winter Guarding Winter Drumline fuels the fall marching band, not the other way around.
No, that's fair. I could see that. No, I could see that.
But then as we come to the end here, it's what do we release? I think May 12th is the release date for this episode.
I'd have to look at a calendar.
Graduation is 10 days away.
Yeah.
That it's time to celebrate what the kids did. So I want to end my portion of this and just ask you, Chris, what did your kids, because you have multiple kids who did indoor drumline, who did marching band, who did guard, who did all sorts of things. And you're about as well-versed as any parent can be. What's your takeaway from the year?
What's my takeaway from the year?
As a parent.
Oh man, again, you do this thing sometimes where you put me on the spot, and I'm gonna have to think about this for a minute. Well, again, for my daughter, her sophomore year was definitely full of maturity, because she was kind of tasked with, and I think this is again where we're fortunate that our director, I think, is always willing to let somebody try something, if that makes any sense, and ultimately not discourage them from exploring and kind of, trying to evolve themselves musically. So I think we're fortunate in that way, because for again, my daughter this year, just the level of maturity to take on, I guess some additional responsibility in marching band, but also learn how to work with new personalities. But again, concert band, I think in particular, or I should say the concert ensembles, because she does wind ensemble and does varsity jazz. Again, picking up 2 new instruments
as a sophomore.
So she played tuba in wind ensemble and played bass trombone in varsity jazz. Again, I think the lesson that they learn in terms of, again, just being humble and letting things come to them, she was willing to put in the work and not let herself get discouraged to the point where she ever, at least let her parents see that she was overwhelmed or took on too much or anything like that. She took it head on and just really accepted the responsibility of, I'm committing to myself and the band that I'm going to be responsible for these parts of the band. So I want to make sure that I produce well. I want to make sure that I meet expectations of, nobody looks at me and goes, God, Ava's not doing her part, or, she's not playing, as she should be. So just the level of maturity to take on that additional responsibility, not only just to produce positive outcomes for herself this year, but to be so confident to say, I want to be a leader in marching band this year. I'm going to apply for it. Go in and get it. But again, be mature enough to approach me and say, Dad, I've got this interview. Like, if I get these questions, like, this is what I'm thinking I'm going to say. So it literally feels like your kids they're literally growing up right in front of you.
So she's not even done with their sophomore year.
Correct.
And I can say, competitively speaking, from what I understand, the achievements weren't as high and the challenges were greater.
Correct.
And your daughter had a better experience her sophomore year than she did her freshman year. As a human being.
I would, yes, as a human being. If I was to ask her what you got, like, did you take away more from this experience or freshman year or sophomore year? There's no question it would be sophomore year. Because again, she just, I think she took more from it this year. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. And
that's why I wanted to circle back. And I think if people watch on YouTube, I think I scared the crap out of him when I said band's the most useless curriculum in the school system today.
I wasn't prepared for that at all. I had no idea where we were going with that. Let me plug in one more thing, which is because you mentioned that. So I also have a stepson who did indoor drumline for the first time. Right?
Yeah.
He was somebody who was in band in elementary school. He actually started in percussion. But I feel like what he was learning in percussion, in particular, he didn't really want to play the bells, right?
Right. Yeah. By the way, the bells are a gateway to keep you from having 75 drummers.
There you go.
There's a pedagogical reason, but that's not really the reason you start on bells. It's to get the kid, not every boy, to sign up to be a drummer.
Okay, totally fair. And I respect that. But that was enough to push him away from it, right? So the kid switched to saxophone for his last couple of years of elementary school. And he did fine. He picked it up pretty well. He's one of those people that always, at least was able to pick things up fairly naturally, right? So then he moved into junior high, and it honestly took him maybe a month in junior high band to decide it wasn't for him. And
Evan switched instruments to drums too.
Oh, gotcha. No, like not at all.
Okay.
Like, I'm done. I don't really want to do this anymore, right? So he basically had removed himself from the conversation. That said, again, I think being around his siblings doing band, because again, he had 2 sisters in marching band last year, watching what they do at their level and what his future potential could be motivated him enough to say, okay, well, there's a winter season. I know I'm kind of like just coming in and I'm new to this, but if they'll take me, like, I want to try it. I'm curious enough. I want to see what the winter season is about. So he came in last minute. They put him on cymbals, which is, again, to his credit, not what he wanted to play. And he's already faced that once and decided to quit because of it. Well, being around it, again, being involved in the activity and being in the cymbal line reignited something in this kid that I don't know that I've ever seen. To the point where, again, he's one of those people now, and I know, there are probably drummer parents who can relate to this, and I've talked to fellow drummer parents in our band who, the kid nonstop, like I have to take his drumsticks to tell him to go to bed because he won't stop. He's practicing,
he's got
drumming,
the bug.
Everything.
Yeah.
It makes me so happy because again, when your kids, I think, find the thing that I guess motivates them, and, we talk about them finding an activity that keeps them out of trouble and all those things, why it's valuable. I wasn't sure what was going to happen because he tried these things. He's tried sports. Like at some point we always hit this hurdle where it just stops him. He's done. I've never seen the kid as passionate as he is right now. And he did tryouts. He's going to march in the fall. He's going to march on an impact in the fall in the Basher Bear Regiment. He couldn't be more excited about it, you know? Whereas my daughter, who's a junior, probably goes, "Oh, we have a chop shop today." And she's rolling her eyes like, "Ugh, chop shop." This kid's like, "I can't wait. Like, I want to get to chop shop. I want to drum. So seeing that in that kid, and again, just the potential of what it can do to turn around a kid who literally completely lost interest, tried multiple iterations of band and instruments and all those things. But this is why I think it's important to continue the exposure to it, because like when you gave your kid some space, right? We didn't push him into drumline. He decided on his own that he wanted to be a part of it. Just keeping them somewhat involved or around it, I think, just lets them kind of find their own way. And I just can't wait to see what this kid does with it now.
And it'll be, I'll tell you right now, full circle, it'll be a very different 4-year experience than your older kids. Not better, not worse,
You're
just
right.
very different.
You're right.
And so that's the thing I wanted to share with parents. And as you end this year, celebrate and recuperate. And so, your child,
that's good advice.
Your child took on something extraordinarily hard, stuck with it through thick and through thin, were selfless and determined. And whether it's in a band banquet or it's at your dinner table, celebrate.
That's an awesome point.
And then give them some time to decompress and get away from the activity.
Yeah. No, that's an awesome point. Which I think, again, engaging in more regular conversations about even what they're going through during the experience, right? Really, to your point, just understanding them. And, we hope more parents who listen to this podcast kind of hear what we're talking about, and they decide themselves not to just get more motivated in the conversations with their kids, but we've talked about joining the cult, right? And being a part of the boosters this season. We talked about all of those things. Again, I just want to bring it back home to the fact that it will make your kid a better person. The effects...
That's the payload, not exactly.
It'll make your kid a better person. The effects will last their entire lifetime. I'll tell you what, I think it'll make you a better parent as well.
So, there's no question.
I think it'll make you a
better
parent.
And I'll tell you what, it gave me time with my son I wouldn't have otherwise had, and I treasure every second of it. So now do you understand the comment?
Yes.
Band, the most useless curricula.
I feel like you could reword it somehow. I still think it sounds terrible, but
your curricula is you're drilling your music. That is the curricula. That is the scope and the sequence.
No. I get where you're going.
And so, that's the thing. I think parents, especially freshman, sophomore parents, need to understand that. Disassociate the curricula from the experience. Because the experience is life-changing. The curricula is your child wearing Vipers at the age of 32 in the grocery store, and that's just weird.
Scott, how about this? Because we were always trying to think of new creative, like social media content. What if we did that? Like, can I dress you up in some white dinkles one day? And can we send you out
the dinkles?
I'm just saying, like, maybe we can, to put some Tchaikovsky on your phone, play it real loud, walk into Basha supermarket with your white dinkles, and let's see if people pay attention.
You get a fan mail to write in, asking me to do it. I'll do it.
Okay, so here's what we'll do. We'll put Scott in some marching dinkles, right? And we'll make him obvious. We'll make him play some loud classical music from his phone or something. But tell us the venue too. Tell us where you want it to be. Tell us the venue. I said a supermarket, but now I'm rethinking that, like, maybe we could send him to like a sports bar during a really important game.
I didn't agree.
It is the NBA playoffs right now. Our local teams aren't playing it because unfortunately...
I'll tell you what, my appearance location will be commensurate with the volume of fan mail.
No, you don't get to decide that. Sorry, you don't get to decide that. That's not what's going to happen. But I will say, as much as I'm still questioning your choice of wording, it sounds like a good clickbait title. So maybe I'll still name the title.
I stand by that statement.
Maybe I'll still title the episode the most useless curricula. Maybe that's what we'll call it.
It is.
Okay.
Now let me finish the sentence, because we talked about the culture. Because I talk on this topic with teachers. Band is the most useless curricula in the school system today. It's the most important culture in the school system today.
See, when you say that, I don't know. It just makes me want to find something more useless. There's got to be something more useless in a public school, isn't there? Okay. Well. You know what's interesting, and this is totally again off the topic. I think it's hilarious how world out there. So I graduated high school in 1997. That's when I graduated high school, right?
I graduated in 85.
One of my favorite things to do in high school PE, because it was fun. I enjoyed it. I didn't have to think. I didn't have to do anything. Man, back in 93, 94, we used to play pickleball in the basketball courts.
Pickleball existed back then?
Yes, that's why I'm like, I see it around now. I'm like, it's just wow, like the fortitude that pickleball had to stick around for 30 years.
Do you know what is mandated?
Finally,
do you know what is mandated by the state of Arizona Education for PE?
Is pickleball in there?
A rhythmic activity. You know what it is?
Square dancing.
That's exactly correct.
Yes, we did square dance too, actually. I don't know. I'd love
Okay.
I'd love to hear that from people too. Let us know.
If you vote in with fan mail, Chris will square dance at the place of your location, and I will
Scott and his
Dinkles.
Dinkles. We'll square dance together.
Yes, we'll do it together.
Oh my God, what are we
if you vote
talking
in
about?
fan
That can't be real life.
All right, I'm Scott Lang. He's
Chris Flynn,
and
folks.
we're the
Banddads. Follow us on all of our social media. Again, hit us up on Instagram, on TikTok, on Facebook, and YouTube. YouTube has full video episodes. They are
the
very
YouTube
entertaining.
episodes are really worth watching.
Thank you.
Even if you've downloaded the episode, the John Williams one, episode 5, is absolutely hilarious.
So there you go. So find us on YouTube, watch the episodes there. What Scott is talking about with the fan mail function, again, in the description of every episode that we publish, no matter what platform you listen to it on, you will see in the description, there's a link that says send us a text. If you click on that link, it will just open up the messaging app on your phone. You can type a message, send it right there on your cell phone. It comes directly to us on our website, and it tags geographically where you're from, so we can give you recognition as well. So,
but it's anonymous. We can't.
Correct. You
We
don't have to
can't
give your
message
name.
you back. So when you don't
Correct.
hear from us, we're not ghosting you. We can't message you back.
Right. Through that function, we cannot. The other way to get a hold of us that we also love to see, which also allows us to have productive conversations with you, and I promise you we answer every single email, which I actually got one this week, and the guy's like, oh, now we can attest you actually answer emails. Matter of fact, we do, and as quickly as possible. Send us emails, which is feedback@banddadspodcast.com. Send us your thoughts about the episode. Season 2 is coming up. We've announced it. If you have some thoughts or some really, just great burning ideas that you think the Banddads should tackle in season 2, send us your ideas. We'd love to take a look at them. I mentioned earlier on bands. You want to record an intro for us, get a hold of us. Just reach out to us at feedback@banddads, and let's make something happen.
And although this is at the end of season 1 in episode 8, there is a bonus episode coming, and it's episode 9, and we're calling it the teaser to season 2, in which we share some exciting changes, alterations, and a new cast of characters to join the band.
Characters, huh?
Well, I can't tell more
Interesting.
about it, or they might figure out who it is.
You
But
said exciting. So that in itself is interesting. I don't know if we've ever done anything exciting before. So shifting gears to be exciting.
I think they're going to be
interesting.
excited when we talk about changes for season 2 and some of the folks that'll be joining us. So it'll be the Banddads and guests moving forward in season 2. But look for episode 9 of season 1 to launch season 2, episode 1.
So your mom and your golden retriever were happy enough with the first 8 episodes that they've blessed us. They've graced us with the approval to do a season 2. That's really exciting.
Well, if we're being honest, my mom doesn't know how to download anything. My golden retriever's happy. My golden retriever's happy about everything.
So are we still talking to ourselves out there? To anybody?
No.
I'm just kidding.
Folks, as we end season 1, and you can tell we're keep going because we're just so blessed.
Yes.
That we get to work with each other, and we get to talk to you, and you are talking to us. The audience has blown us away, exceeded every expectations.
Yep.
And we're excited to do even better work for you in season 2 of the
Banddads podcast. One last thing. Now's the time, right? If you've had people hesitating to maybe join into the podcast,
binge listen.
That's exactly right. That's what most people wait for. They don't want to wait necessarily, and it's worth it, I promise. Some people don't want to wait 2 weeks for 40 minutes of us, unfortunately, but that's kind of the schedule that we're able to deliver on currently. So now's the time. You can catch up, you can binge them all, and just go through it and be ready for season 2. So now's the time. I might binge it. I might go through and binge listening to us again.
Oh, I guarantee I will.
Yeah, there you go. All right, Banddads approved. Folks, we'll see you next time. Thanks so much. To stay up to date with the Banddads podcast, visit our website, banddadspodcast.com. Want to communicate with the Banddads? Send an email to feedback@banddadspodcast.com. The Banddads podcast is a 5 Deuce Media production. For more information, visit 5deucemedia.com. That's numeral 5deucemedia.com. For more information on Scott Lang leadership and solutions for music education, visit scottlang.net.